The civil society leader and human rights defender, Liz Com, accompanied by Maximilian Gombe of Redac, says that they have received the blessings and spiritual protection needed as they engage in their strategy for the salvation of Cameroon 2025.
And now over to another little story. Today marks exactly 39 years, we told you in the headlines, after the Lake Nyos disaster killed thousands of people and animals in the Nyos village in the Menchum division of the northwest region of the country. Close to 4 decades have elapsed, but the government is yet to fulfill promises made to the victims and also survivors of that tragedy. Many of them have been living in deplorable conditions across the national territory. Rights defenders have been calling on the government to fulfill those promises, as Babila Jonathan tells us in the report which comes up next.
August 21st, 1986, August 21st, 2025. 39 years after the Lake Nyos disaster, a deadly release of carbon dioxide from the lake caused widespread suffocation in nearby villages. Despite government promises, many victims and survivors of the tragedy are still waiting for adequate compensation and support. While the government has provided some assistance and initiated resettlement projects, there are complaints about unfulfilled promises and the need for more substantial support. Some survivors were relocated. Many continue living in resettlement camps, facing challenges and waiting for the promised improvement to their living conditions. Many have returned to their villages, not finding the promised decent houses, schools, and health centers. They need assistance with housing, infrastructure, and economic opportunities. Right defenders have been urging the government to fulfill its promises and provide more substantial compensation and support to the survivors and their families. We
will be talking with a survivor of that disaster in the second part of the news. Now we talk health. We are in the rainy season, and children in Cameroon, just like those across the world, face heightened health risks due to climate and environmental hazards, with approximately 1.6 million affected annually by climate change. This exposure increases their vulnerability to respiratory illnesses like pneumonia and bronchitis. To preserve the lives of children, pediatricians have advised parents to maintain hygiene and seek prompt medical care when children exhibit signs of illnesses. Our reporter Lucy Liengu spoke to a pediatrician at the General Hospital here in Douala. She compiled this report for the news.
Reports from UNICEF's Children Climate Risk Index revealed that Cameroon ranks among the 10 countries in the world where children are most exposed to climate and environmental hazards. These children face increased vulnerability to various diseases due to the effects of cold weather, with respiratory diseases like pneumonia and bronchitis being particularly prevalent. When we feel cold, respiratory diseases such as flu and cough are likely to affect us. If parents do not take action, this can lead to allergies, especially pneumonia. Children, particularly those under 5, are at higher risk from climate-related health issues.
Commence à tousser et puis si on ne fait rien toujours, on a des maladies comme les otites, les pharyngites.
According to Dr. Elumo Bisasa, a pediatrician at the General Hospital of Douala, pneumonia and bronchitis are major concerns during the rainy season, as cold weakens the children's immune systems, making them more exposed to these infections. Additionally, children may be more prone to diseases like malaria and typhoid fever, which can be contracted through contact with contaminated water.
Pendant la saison pluvieuse, il y a beaucoup d'eau qui stagne.
During the rainy season, stagnant water, garbage, and overgrown grass often favor the presence of mosquitoes.
Ça favorise la multiplication des moustiques.
To protect children during this period, parents are expected to maintain a high level of hygiene, ensure that children drink potable water, avoid allowing children play in running water, and also ensure that they keep warm by drinking hot drinks.
Quand on commence à donner le remède contre la toux, je vous assure, ça va se compliquer par une pneumonie.
Medics advise once children begin showing signs of illnesses, they should be taken to the hospital than a pharmacy. There, medical professionals can determine if the children need nasal flushing or medication for cough or related diseases.
And now over to this human interest story. A suspected bandit has been burned to death at the Pekawit neighborhood here in the economic capital Douala. Fed up with frequent assaults, the residents violently attacked 5 suspected criminals who were beaten and then burnt alive. At the scene, the scars of the tragedy were still visible and a clear message was left on the ground: stop the attacks at Pekawit ESG. Our reporter Cedric Chakutu was there.
A piece of cloth, shoes and burnt tires are the remains of the 5 individuals caught, beaten and burnt by the angry population at Pekawit ASG, a neighborhood in the Douala 3 subdivision. According to eyewitnesses, these individuals were alleged bandits who used to attack the residents of the locality. The incident happened between students in the area and the bandits they arrested. There were 5 of them. They were beaten and burnt alive. This is a result of too much aggressions in the area. An act, though condemned by many, is the result of attacks perpetrated by armed men for years on the residents in this area. The insecurity here is on the rise. They stole, robbed and attacked even in front of us. They scared us with long knives. One of them climbed over the barrier of a neighbor. He asked them to let him go and he will give them 1 million francs CFA. But they did not listen and mixed him with the others.
Même seulement pour aller au marché payer la marchandise, on se sent frustré. Parce qu'on sort à 4 heures, on ne peut plus sortir à 4 heures parce qu'il n'y a pas la sécurité.
According to the quarter head, these attacks intensified due to the absence of vigilante groups, which he says stopped.
Le comité de vigilance de ce quartier, c'est par rapport à la motivation.
The vigilante committee stopped due to the motivation. Residents of the locality contributed and gave to the vigilante committee, but for a while now, everyone has stopped contributing.
Marcher avec les contributions de chaque maison, afin que les enfants puissent veiller toute la nuit.
Amongst the burnt bandits, 2 were transported to the Lokbaba District Hospital, but upon arrival, 1 died on the spot and the other was transferred to another hospital for further treatment. As investigations are ongoing, the inhabitants sent a clear message to whoever will attempt to attack them again in the locality.
Let's now tell you how Cameroon is faring today in just a moment. In Cameroon today, we take you to the Sanaga Maritime Division of the littoral region, precisely in a village there called Malima. The people there are in need of so many social amenities. This has made many of them to leave from their village to areas they think can be better for them. For those who are left in the village, a majority of them are involved in fishing. The fishing of clams is one of the biggest profit-making businesses in Malima. Unfortunately, due to overfishing, the clams have become to be scarce at the moment. Manjikan Gabriel takes us to Malima.
The village is certainly going through a lot because of the lack of basic social amenities. But behind these difficulties, the main activity of the natives is that of fishing clams. The fishing of clams was never for men, but with time, men also got interested. When we started fishing clams, it was an affair of women, while men went for bivaga. But when they noticed the women stay for too long and they return richer than they left, that is how men too got interested. In Malimba, everyone is used to this voice. It is that of Giselle, who is specialized in the grilling of meat that comes out from the clams. I was just from roasting the soya and I'm going out to sell them since it's already set to eat. All ingredients used in preparing bongo, ginger, onion and cubes. are the main ingredients. Thanks to her specialty, Giselle has employed Francine and Annabelle, who all have a specific task to carry out. As Francine prepares the sticks, Annabelle is tasked with picking of the meat from the clams. The grilled meat from the clams could be eaten with cassava paste, fondly known as bobolo. A stick of the clam meat is sold at 100 francs CFA. In the kitchen of Grandma Benane is dried meat from the clams that we met, and she sells it at 10,000 francs CFA. Though it's a lucrative business, the clams in Malima are in danger as they are becoming scarce. We have difficulties because of the many hurdles. Behind me, we had many clams for several years. After a certain time, we didn't even understand anything again as sand covered them. Their depth here of about 16 meters, 5 meters and 4 meters, and majority here is 4 meters. Most of the clams stay where the depth is much. The fishermen in this zone are doing everything possible to protect the clams. Experts have advised us to create reserve zones when they are very small. We don't catch them, but allow them to gain weight. But when you come there another year, they are no longer there, as sand covers them. When the sand of River Sanaga covers them, they get bad. Today, many natives of Malima are now afraid of what the future holds should the clams finally disappear.
Thank you, smart viewers. That does it for the first part of the news. Now let's move on to talking points. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Shea Ewen Andrew. He is one of the survivors of the Nyos disaster. Thank you so much, Andrew, for accepting to be our guest tonight. Andrew, you are one of those who miraculously survived the Nyos disaster, which killed more than 1,500 people in your village. You were just 10 when it happened, and you lost all your family members. Tell us exactly what you saw on that fateful night.
And I was just 10 at the time. So like a primary school child, we were on holidays. I left Nyos on the 21st of August and went to WUM, the divisional headquarters of Menchum, to buy small provision articles for my holiday job, kerosene and other things to be selling during the holidays to raise money for the next academic year. But unfortunately, before I came back the next day, everybody had died. In our house, we were about 10 of us. I left, there were 9 people in the house. 7 perished. 7 children perished. My sister and the husband with whom we were staying also died. So that was my first time to see a mass grave. When the other relatives came from neighboring villages, what I saw was that they dug 2 graves and buried all the 7 children in one grave and the husband and wife in another grave.
Andrew, that should have been very traumatizing to you. Now tell us how you felt when you came back home, meeting corpses all around you at your age. You were just 10.
Everybody had died. It was like there's an interesting story that even happened before we arrived. There is a nurse, there's one nurse who was working in one of the health centers around, in the Subum Health Center. He slept in WUM that morning. He was going back to his, Subum is a small village after Nyos, towards Nkambe. So he slept in WUM. He was going back to Nyos, to Subum that morning. He got to Nyos. Just at the entrance, he saw an animal dead. He picked it and thought that maybe a hunter shot it somewhere, and he came and died on the way. As he progressed, he saw birds dead, when he got to the Nyos market square, because that was a market day, he saw corpses littered everywhere. He loosened the antelope that he picked on the way, he threw it, and then turned and was going back to Womb. He never continued. So when the vehicle that brought us reached, because my mother was living in Cha. Cha is one of the communities that was affected by the disaster. So my mother was living there. I came and stopped to see my mother. I saw that she was affected and she was lying helpless in the house. She insisted that we must continue to Nyos, where my sister and the children were living, because we needed help at the time. But little did my mother know that the real problem was from Nyos. And so when we got on the way, we met the doctor. He told us that there was nobody in Nyos, we should go back. My mother insisted that if all her children have died, she will also go there and die. A few meters from where we met the doctor, we met the driver that picked me up on the way when I was coming back from Womb. The driver told us that there was nobody in Nyos, that we should go back. My mother refused to enter the vehicle. At that moment, I also said that if my mother has to go to that place and die where everybody has died, I was not happy to take her there to go and die. I continued on foot, and when I got there, I saw the reality.
Andrew, what about first aid? Your story is really touching, you know. We understand you were very young. Tell us what you remember on how health assistants or health workers were dispatched then.
The administration of Menchum had blocked the routes of Nyos. Gendarmes were there, not allowing people to pass to Nyos. And those of us who were coming from the area, that is when we realized that many people died of carelessness because there was no immediate rescue team that was sent to Nyos to rescue those who might have survived the disaster if immediate attention was given to them. So we were the first people to enter the general hospital in Womb. Went to the district hospital. We met Israeli doctors, Israeli drugs, Israeli military jeeps in Womb, and we were wondering how there could be Israeli doctors and drugs in Womb 24 hours after the disaster. But that notwithstanding, one Reverend Father Tenhon, who was the parish priest of the Womb Catholic Mission at the time, he took off in a small Subaru car from Womb and got to Nyos within a very short time, saw the situation for himself, came back and went to the SDO and told the SDO that the situation was bad. The senior divisional officer at the time was Mr. Fayengo Francis, who collaborated with the priest. The priest left and went to Bamenda, got an helicopter from the Baptist in Bamenda, and then flew it to Nyos himself. And it was at that time that he started rescuing those who were still breathing. That is how we left the area, and 39 years after,
This happened since 1986. What particular assistance, Andrew, or consideration have you had so far from the government?
Survived the disaster. I am not an offspring of the survivor. I was about going to secondary school at the time. The government gave us a scholarship, Nyos scholarship scheme. And what I can remember is that 2 years after that scholarship ended, I was just promoted to Form 3. It ended. So I can't remember the compensation that has been given us, because to the best of my knowledge, what I thought at the time was that government was just evacuating us from the disaster zone. But after that, they took us to 7 different camps. They took us to 7 different camps in the northwest. You have Yemge, where I come from. You have Boabwa, you have Kimbi, you have Kumfutu, you have Isu, and you have Ipalim in Bavmen. About 7 of those camps were constructed. And we have been living there for 39 years, still in the hope of going back to Nyos. But the most surprising thing, I was only 10 when this Nyos occurred. I've been living in Yemge for 39 years. And the government still thinks that they will come and take me from Yemge at this age to Nyos to go and start back life afresh. Because all what we left in Nyos today is history. I don't know how feasible government thinks that can be. But I think that if the government is still planning to do something to Nyos survivors, I think we should work hand in glove.
Concretely, Andrew, besides settling you guys in those camps, no particular attention from the government?
Nothing has been done. Nothing has been done to us in terms of compensation. Nothing. Because our children have been left out of school. If you even look at the living conditions of those people who are living in those camps, it's precarious. Some of those houses that were hurriedly constructed 39 years ago are dilapidating. You sleep, if you go to those camps, it's just that I could not have a means because of the crisis to get there and come with pictures. You will see that in those camps, some of those houses are blocked on one side by fronts, palm fronts, blocked with palm fronts, just to make life going. The water that government constructed for us 39 years ago is completely bad. It's completely bad. And that is why those of us from Yemge who are outside here decided that we will come out with an association called the Survivors of Nyos, Yemge-based development association, and try to see how we can improve the living conditions of the people who are living back in our own resettlement camp. The government has degassed the area, and the thing that is fit for people to stay there, let them tell us, even if we cannot go back to stay there, we'll go back and take care of our ancestral sites.
Thank you so much, Ewen Andrew, for accepting to be our guest tonight. And courage to you, the survivors and also victims of the late Nyos disaster. Thank you again, sir, for accepting to be our guest tonight. And viewers, thank you so much for being with us on this other edition of the news in the English language on Equinoxe Television. Our programs continue tonight. Equinoxe Soir comes up in about 30 minutes with Sajaleng, and the news in the French language will be yours at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television, and bye-bye for now.